So, as many as you've probably seen, there was a patch this week. Sort of came out by Treyarch. I'm not going to go all to any detail at all as to what the patch sort of contained. I mean, you've all seen Woody's patch notes or whatever. You know, go look up yourself. But basically, it was another patch sort of from Treyarch that didn't really address any of the major issues in the game. It was sort of, I mean, I didn't. A lot of the stuff it did, I didn't really think was too much of an issue or whatever. I mean, like, you know, it was just another patch that sort of left me feeling very underwhelmed. And that sort of made me sort of get thinking, and I know that's dangerous, right? But you know, start thinking about this topic that I want to talk about today, and that's sort of the lack of communication or effective back and forth between game developers and fans. Especially in COD. I mean, I'm sort of a bit ashamed to say I don't have too much experience in any other games really, in you know how it works, but I feel like COD, you know, the popularity COD has, it should be held to a better standard. It deserves to have a lot of, you know, engaged developers who are genuinely interested, and not in terms of just hearing what the community wants or what people in the community want, but actually interested in putting it into action, you know. You know, the overwhelming feeling I always get from game developers, and especially this always comes around at COD XP or whatever, and then even afterwards, is that they'll put something out there, they'll put out a feature in their game, and they'll tell you this is why it's great, this is why it's amazing, and then that's sort of it. You're expected just you've got to live with it. That they've told you it's amazing, so therefore it must be, and just shut up and play the game. Uh, I don't know. It's just, I mean, obviously Treyarch is thinking a lot better than Infinity Ward, who, as far as I'm concerned, can burn in hell. But I think even Vonderhaar and those people, I do think that they actually, you know, they want to make a good game, but I still feel like they've got these, you know, I don't know, blinkers on as to what's actually going on. Now, I mean, there's so many examples of you know, game developers in COD not being in tune with what the community wanted. I mean, Death Streak's coming back in Modern Warfare 3 was an abomination. I mean, how that ever... I mean, the guy that brought that up in sort of the meeting should have been fired on the spot there and then, but actually got all the way to the fucking top and made it in the game. I mean, you know, there's an example of just either them not listening or them just flat out ignoring, you know, and that wasn't even just a sort of, oh, it's only, you know, the good players that don't. I mean, that was just bullshit for everyone. I mean, there's no one that can really defend Death Streaks one way or another. I mean, and that's another thing that these developers don't do as well, is that they'll put these sort of things out in the game that everyone complains about, but then they never defend it afterwards. Like, they'll bring it out and this is why it's really good, and then everyone will be like, well, actually, now we've played the game ourselves, this is why it isn't very good, and that's generally the last you hear of it. You know, the most I'll say, oh, is, well, look what we said earlier. I mean, I don't know, it always feels so vague and so... Say for me, I feel like I'm an intelligent young guy that enjoys this game a lot, but I don't really have any way to contact a developer. Now, I mean, I know that the most common way that people contacted these guys, I mean, Vonderhaar's Twitter must get spammed like no one else is. But the Twitter thing, to me, I mean, it doesn't seem like a very professional, a very reliable way of communication. For several reasons. I mean, firstly, it's Twitter. It's a social networking site. I mean, it's not, you know, anything. I mean, it is. I understand its place, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And the other thing, obviously, it's full of, you know, children who have their own ideas as well, you know, buff quit scoping and stuff like that. So they've got to put up with, you know, loads of shit and loads of, you know, sieve through all the, you know, crap that people send them on Twitter. And I understand why they probably don't read the majority of what people send them. Like, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't accept the opinions of 12-year-olds, especially when my game's rated 18. But that's another issue. So that's the first thing I think that needs to be improved, is that they need to have some sort of more stable mode of communication. I mean, whether that would be, I mean, I'm sort of, I probably should have come up with a few more ideas myself before I did this commentary, but I mean, you know, the idea of having a petition, say, you know, with a certain amount of people sign it, they literally have to sort of recognise it and take action. I mean, you know, on the, you know, gathering the YouTube side, they could definitely get some signatures together, or online, you know, people just to click their name online, whatever. I think, you know, the idea, if there was actually like an email address or, you know, someone that, you know, and these guys will probably, there'll be secretaries at Treyarch and stuff, people that are hired to sieve through the bullshit. But if someone emails a well-written and, you know, argument to these developers, I feel like that should be taken seriously. I also think the other thing that developers need to do is they need to be a bit more active on YouTube. I mean, I think it would be great if Thunderhole or someone had a YouTube channel where they could build up a subscriber base. I mean, that would be no problem at all for them. They could have people constantly, and I understand that the danger with that is that it's YouTube. It's just going to get full of hate. It's going to be full of all that. But how is that different from like Woody's channel or whatever? I mean, there's people fucking hating left and right. Some of it's legit, some of it's not. But you've just got to sort of take it all with a pinch of salt. Ignore the stuff that's clearly had no thought put into it. Because it's just a angry child at a keyboard, so you just ignore that. But anything that comes in that's actually sort of trying to be constructive and trying to be well thought through and mature about the whole issue, I don't understand why that can't be taken seriously. Why game developers almost have this arrogance of we know what's best for the game, when, to be honest, again, from my experience as a Call of Duty player, quite a hardcore Call of Duty player, I would not be surprised at all if Treyarch and people at Treyarch and Infinity Ward, they might game occasionally, they might play a little bit of COD, every other weekend or something, they might get on for a few games. But I don't think they play it nearly as religiously as many of the people playing online. I mean, there are people that literally, and this is definitely not a good thing, but people that, live COD, they breathe COD, and they're on it all the time. And for those people, I mean, yeah, you could say, you probably need to go outside for a bit, but at the same time, they deserve not to be getting shat on by stupid things that are in the game, that you won't do anything about. I mean, I think that's basically the way I see it. I think that Treyarch needs to either actually play their game, and I'm talking about getting 5 or 6 days played at least, on their personal accounts, or bring in people that do play the game, that maybe have some sort of educational background, some sort of background in computer science, so they understand all the programming and all that aspect of it too. But then they actually are really into gaming and will play their game, because it's all good saying something in theory. Oh, well, in theory this will be nice and stuff like that. I mean, in theory, target finders and stuff could be a good idea, but in reality, you put target finders in the game. I mean, I played a game on Nuketown with my mate Rob yesterday. These people did not give a shit about B or winning the game or whatever. They were quite content. They were just going to sit at the back of it, whichever spawn they were on. It didn't matter, and we were throwing them about the spawns like they were getting crushed on. Don't believe me. And they were just happy. They were just going to spawn in, sit at the back of the map with their target finder and LMG. And on Nuketown, that's I mean, you're not really going to stop that. The guns killed too quickly, and I don't know. It was that horrible feeling of they're playing a different game to I am. I mean, again, another friend of mine's like, well, they're playing Shoot the Red Squares game, and I'm playing Call of Duty. That sort of thing. So, and those are the sort of things that tell me it's not thought through, or that they don't play their game enough. Because you can put a target finder in, and I'll tell you straight away, the first thing someone's going to do is slap that on an LMG with Ghost and sit at the back of their map and pretend they're good. That's just the way people are, and I think there was always the debate between, is it the game developers or the players? Where does the onus lie when a game's shit? I think, to be honest, it's the developers, because the players are going to be shitheads. That the sort of typical Call of Duty player is a fucking arsehole. He's a fucking cunt. The average guy that plays Call of Duty, like, he will do whatever he can to win. So as a game developer, the onus is on you, I think, to stop that and to, I don't know, to make the game as balanced and fair as possible. And I mean, I get that you want to chase sales, and I get that you want to, don't want to alienate your new new fans or whatever, new consumers. But I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I'm too naive, and I believe in integrity too much. Maybe that's my problem, and maybe that's why haven't succeeded in life like I maybe could have so far. But I mean, I do think that it would be nice for them to give more attention and credit to the intelligentsia of the COD community, like the very few and far between people that can actually string together a coherent thought as to why this game isn't good, rather than just dispelling anyone that says, oh, this game isn't good, it's just an angry kid. And I think there needs to be a more reliable mode of communication between fans and game developers, So it's not sort of this. They'll put out a patch and tell us to be happy with it, and they can sort of pretend they're engaging with the community because there's so much support, when really it's support that no one's asking for and no one really realized it was needed. But I mean, I've gone to Rambletown now, so I'm gonna shut up. But I think you've got an idea of how I feel about the topic, and yeah, I wanted to get off my chest, so there it is. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay, and yeah,